And welcome back to another Tom and Shane podcast. Happy to be with you this morning. And Shane, boy, we've got to talk about a budget. I don't know. I don't know how we're going to talk about this because, all these agencies that the government has. I tried to look them up, and no one knows how many agencies we actually have. Shane,
Well,
that's what I
yeah,
found.
it's like looking at biology, species on the planet, and then subspecies to subspecies, right? Like,
Right?
gee,
Yeah.
yeah, it's I did a deep dive, and I'll give you a perfect example. One of the biggest concerns that everyone should have, and it really burns my oranges, is they keep saying, "Oh, we got to have a government shutdown," or we're going to go bankrupt. They're not going to go bankrupt. Treasury Department. Here's a perfect example. You'll be happy to know that the Treasury Department, it's a light duo with a $68 billion budget, 3,900 employees, 3,000 less than 4,000 employees, and a $68 billion budget. And
Hmm.
oh my gosh, here's the great thing: Pell Grants, 28 billion. Federal direct student loan program, 23 billion. Title grants, 14 billion. Special education under the Treasury Department, 12 billion. Oh, and guess what? Other, 7.9 billion dollars, of which they have over 2.5 billion in cash just sitting in the account. Why? Because all this debt that they created by the Congress in the last year because of COVID, they couldn't sell. They couldn't go to the market and sell it on the street. So they virtually deposited in all the departments in your government. And this is a perfect example of what they did. So if you want me to give you another one, I can. But it's just it's rather difficult and hard to imagine that you look at the context, of what you're dealing with. The Office of Inspector General. And that gal, remember we were talking about her that got picked to work, in the Treasury Department. Unbelievable. Anyway, she's got a $1.2 billion officer of the comptroller of the currency. Remember, she got picked up.
Right.
She's got 1.1 trillion billion dollars in cash against 3.9 trillion in cash, for her budget. So clearly there's a great grab of $1 billion. So let's put her in charge of it so we can tell her what to do with it. So another example, it just and you go back and forth and on and on. Homeland Security is the big one, 12.1 billion, 17,500 employees, and they have over 2.8. This is good, $2.8 billion in cash reserves at the Department of Homeland Security. You know, no more Social Security checks will go out. This is they're just lying to the American public, and we got to stay on the story. We got to talk about it. We can you continue to follow it.
Yeah. Yeah, the for the people who are joining us maybe for the first time or don't realize, the we haven't had a budget. We might have had one during Obama. I don't remember any budgets during Bush, Clinton, whatever. I mean, they
That's
haven't done
right.
a budget forever. And the reason that we point out every time we talk about the budget is that if you're going to have a budget, you've got to know how much people need and you've got to know how much people have now and what you've got to audit all these agencies, and these agencies, they don't want to know, they don't want you to know how much money they can't find, and next, they they don't want you to know how much money they have on hand,
Uh,
and uh, this is no way to run a government chain.
It
It just
isn't, and
isn't.
and and for 4 years, Trump tried to send up a budget to to Congress, and they wouldn't deal with it. They just
Mhm.
ignored it, and just a continuing resolution: keep funding, keep funding. Now, here's the
Yeah.
big deal: that another big problem globally. Now, you got the issues in China we've talked about. This is serious. I mean, there's companies over there in deep trouble financially. They're on a gigantic bubble that's going to blow up. But here's another problem we have. Now, the largest global equity market is debt. debt. All right. So we're not talking about paying the interest on your debt. You can do that. What we're talking about is being able to have people buy more debt so you can fund the debt and fund your country. And you're at a tipping point because I believe we've talked about the numbers. We'll maybe go over them again today. But here's a big one. Um, as you know, when they set up the EU, they agreed on a single currency. But what they wouldn't do, is give up their sovereign debt. So every country in the EU can issue their own sovereign debt, but they all share the same currency. Margaret Thatcher was the one that forced this because the EU wanted to just have EU debt and not, individual debt, and that's what created all the crises we saw: Cyprus, Greece, several other countries in the EU that couldn't maintain the requirements to remain in it, but they changed that. But the point I'm trying to get at is, so now what you have is countries like China. Since 2017, China has been creating U.S. dollar denominated bonds. They have 214 billion issued of U.S. dollar denominated bonds. So basically what they've done is they've taken the $1 trillion that they have of U.S. money and they've rolled it over into a dollar denominated bond to go out and raise more money. So they've tripled down or doubled down, excuse me, on their investment in the U.S. to create more money. It's a banking play, but it's one we have to watch because if this is forced to unwind, we have a huge problem, not just in China now, not just in the U.S., but globally.
Yeah, you're looking at a real situation here, and boy, not sure what to do about it. To be quite honest with you, Linda's with us. Good morning, Linda. Glad to have you along with us. Thanks for checking in with us. We appreciate that very much. And yeah, Shane, boy, this situation here, not being able to sell the debt obviously is a big one because we can't fund our government without. How we do it is we sell bonds.
That's right.
That's how we fund the government, and we collect income tax and corporate tax, but that's a small percentage of selling the bonds.
That's right. And this China Evergrande group that we've been talking about, this has now become a linchpin. It's like the brothers, back in 2008 that went under in your country that caused, huge catastrophe with mortgage-backed securities. Well, these guys have done it with real estate. Now, they're the largest holder of empty buildings in China. There's over 90 million now apartments and condos empty. No one wants to buy them or live in them. And Evergrande has the largest holdings in that. Stock has been as high as, get this, $31 in November of 2018. Oh, how hard they fall! Trading at $295 now. Yeah. And so now the vultures are circling. They want to pick up as much of the assets this company's been allowed to build in the last 30 years because of the Chinese policy. And the Chinese government doesn't know how to handle it or apparently want to help bail it out. Well, the problem that this is a linchpin. When we saw the brokerage industry in the U.S. start to collapse, AIG was the first one. And of course, they bailed that out because AIG held all of the funds for government employees because Reagan had set that up with AIG back in the 80s for them to handle and manage all the federal government employees' retirement funds. So they had to bail that out because everyone retired since then wouldn't have any money. But having said that, the context of today is a leverage play of gargantuan numbers. They'll override any attempt to try and stave it off. It'll just be an unwinding. And unwinding in the industry, and I've been in it, it's not a pretty thing because it happens either very quickly or it takes time. And if it takes time, the longer it is, it's really bad for who's ever in charge. Well, that would be the demolition party and the policy and the economy that they'll be responsible for.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, don't forget, hey, if you like what you're listening to, don't forget to subscribe, ring the notification bell. You'll always be notified of a upcoming podcast and like us. Leave a comment. Why not do that? Also, we do these on StreamYard. The link is in the description below on YouTube. So if you'd like to make videos like this, StreamYard is a great, easy, simple way to do it. So we have used it for quite a while and enjoy it quite a bit. So we hope that you'll check it out in the description below on YouTube. So, but yeah, this upcoming vote in Congress, the 3 trillion, 5 trillion, 6 trillion, whatever it is,
Yeah, yeah.
nobody knows for sure what the hell they're going to vote on, and they got 6,000 pages of bills that nobody's going to read. Somebody should stick term limits in there somewhere. Just
They should. And what's laughable is they're lying to the American public.
yeah,
They're blaming each other because that's typical politics. But the policy side of it is that the reason that Nancy Pelosi can't get people to buy it isn't this infighting between the left and the moderates of the Democratic Party. It's basic numbers, and these aren't stupid people. They get advised by people that don't want. They'll talk to them about the debt like I'm talking. But so they're looking at this and going, we cannot pass 6 trillion more in debt, virtual or otherwise, meaning we can't pass it, deposit it in an account, send it to states, and they try and cash it out. Because on top of everything else, they don't have the means to handle that kind of debt with what they already have in hand. So this is all about how crazy are they going to be about spending money. I mean, you saw what happened to Facebook yesterday just from shutting down, right?
oh
I
yeah,
mean, it
yeah.
went from, it dropped 5%, before it came back on. It's recovered, of course. But I mean, it's just one of these things that, on October 4th, it was at 334. And right now it's trading back at 334 again. So,
Yeah.
I mean, one of these, this is a prime example of what I'm saying. When the market reacts, money is chicken. It goes to the safest place possible,
Right.
and it does it very quickly. They
That
don't
it
have to
will.
wait for election. You don't have to wait for elections to
Yeah.
move money, right?
Yeah, you don't. That's for sure. Oh man, yeah. Well, yeah, you're right about that. Money goes where it's safe. I think we're still the tallest midget in the room,
That's
but
right. Exactly.
but still, um, the markets are reacting. The bond sales are reacting to the uncertainty that this government has put on our monetary system. They
Yes.
they
Yes.
don't know what's going to pass. If it does pass, what's it going to do? They're talking about corporate raising the corporate tax. That makes corporations very leery because they have to do business worldwide, and the more tax they have to pay, the worse it is. And
That's
I know
right.
a lot of people bitch and moan that, well, the corporations don't pay any taxes. Well, they pay payroll taxes. That's their biggest expense. They pay
Uh,
property taxes. They pay all kinds of taxes. They may
of
not pay
course
an
they do.
income tax because they pay all these other taxes.
Of course they do. They pay tax. They pay taxes for trucking around. They pay
Sure.
taxes to
Gas
drive
taxes,
gases, that drive on
everything.
highways and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a blowhard, misdirection, intentional, uninformed government trying to dumb the public who's going to catch on to it. I appreciate the opportunity we have to talk about this because I think we're ahead of two huge stories.
Yeah.
Not the interest on your debt, and the tipping point. The situation in China and the demographics there, which we will continue talking about, and China's major problem that they're running into because, look, capitalism is a great thing, all right, and the reason it's a
Mhm.
great thing is it allows for growth and expansion and renewal, and then the bubble bursts and you start over again,
Yeah.
and everybody picks the pieces up cheaper than before. Buy low, sell high, and there's always someone there to do it in capitalism. But the other aspect of capitalism is, you can't counterfeit money. So the government comes up with this great plan where instead of counterfeiting money, you can issue paper and sell it to people for money to do something. And that's a great thing. And the most democratic institution in the world is the market. And why? Because you don't have to wait for an election day. You can
Mhm.
vote every day in the market.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't. These are good people. They're not. Oh my God, this is a terrible story. I'm out. Goodbye. Oh, I got to go protect myself. It's a daily choice that you're given in capitalism. What better than that? I mean, that's a huge deal, baby. And
Yeah.
and that's why the world embraces it. Because what even these commies, all right, look at China. It's a fascist state from a communist state. They've got people in death camps, just like the Nazis. They control everything, the banking system, to all the corporations and the military, which isn't big enough to protect them. Never mind invade Taiwan. Forget Taiwan. China's never won a war. The last war they tried was invading Vietnam back in the late 70s, and they got their ass kicked in 30 days by the Vietnamese army. So, Taiwan is incredibly well defended. They have a huge military, and it's the Kuomintang. These are the guys who were beating back Mao, 50, 70 years ago. These aren't dumb people. They know what the risk is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that Hong Kong, I mean, there's all kinds of things there that China's in real trouble. You've
Oh yeah,
pointed it out. I mean,
yeah.
their monetary system, it's 6 to 1 for us, and so that's kind of an issue. So, but nice shirt, by the way. Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry. I had to I had to reboot my old Dell computer. So
Oh, okay.
I got to be looking at the debt to get it. Yeah, no, it's look, oil is going to $100. We talked about that.
Mhm.
We're ahead on that call, and the reason for that is simple, just because of the trade route issues and delivery issues and inflation and the policy of your government. I mean, they
Yeah,
shut down the flow of cheap oil to raise oil. So
yeah,
I mean, they did that to make money for the oil companies. Big contributors to Democratic campaigns. They are.
mhm,
They don't deny it. The numbers are out there. I'm not making this
yeah,
up. So it's an evil circle. It's a political circle of life, and we have to call it out because nobody will and nobody does, but we do. You
yeah,
do.
yeah.
You're the captain of it all, Eagle Man, Captain Eagle Man.
All right. All right. Well, I think we've covered this pretty well. We want to remind you that we are on radio every Saturday, 8 to 11. You can listen to us anywhere in the world. KMMSAM.com, 3 hours of limited commercial radio. And so check that out. Go to kmmsam.com. And also, we record all of our radio shows. So if you want to get a sample of what we do, you can listen to past radio shows again at kmmsam.com. Just click on Tom and Shane's podcast, and there's a link that will take you over to our podcast over there. So we
That's right.
appreciate it. Yeah,
And and
absolutely.
and the teaser for Thursday is Treasury news. So
Yeah.
the Treasury action results of today, we will pick one, and give you an example again of
Hmm.
of the inability for the Treasury to sell your debt. We've been doing it now for what, almost 4 months. We're 3.5 months in. So
Hmm.
we've been on this show on tape for 3.5 months ahead of everybody, and we'll
Yeah.
continue that to storm that wall because it's a big wall, buddy.
Yes, it is. Before we go, government has no money. The taxpayers give them money. Without taxpayers, there would be no government. Well, I don't know. They ran the government without taxpayers for what, a
A
hundred and
long
some
time.
years.
That's
So,
right. Yeah.
so I think we could probably do it again. They ran it with fees and tariffs and all of that stuff.
Right.
So maybe we could do that again. We'll have to think about that for a future show, I
We
guess.
will. How much of a cut to every department to balance the budget in 2 years, not for 2 years.
Yeah, that would happen. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you on Thursday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
There you go. Bam. Wow.